Hello brains! So, I was supposed to do this video last month. Let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination, noun, is the tendency to delay activities that have to be completed before a deadline, often despite knowing there will be negative consequences for doing so. Our procrastination can be productive. We might actually get a lot done, just not the thing we intended to get done. It can also be not so productive. Everyone procrastinates sometimes, but those of us with ADHD tend to do it more often. And there are reasons for this. There are greater advantages for us than there are for neurotypical brains to waiting until closer to a deadline, because the difference in our ability to focus can be huge. Also, those with ADHD have shorter time horizons. Things don't land on our mental plate until closer to a deadline. That sense of urgency of, oh shoot, I gotta do this now, doesn't kick in until later than it does for neurotypical brains. And we get this huge dopamine hit when we succeed. Dopamine tells us, whatever you did, that felt good, do it again. And that in turn incentivizes future procrastination. Because we procrastinate more often, it's easy to assume that whenever we're not actively working on the thing we're supposed to be working on, we're procrastinating. So first of all, not everything that looks like procrastination is procrastination. Sometimes we're planning. Sometimes we're transitioning from one task to the next. Sometimes we just realized something else was more important and or urgent and reprioritized. And sometimes we're just taking a break. We need breaks. We're humans, not robots. Actually, even robots need to recharge. Even if it is procrastination, it turns out not all procrastination is created equal. According to research, there are two main types of procrastination: active procrastination and passive procrastination. Passive procrastination is basically unintentional procrastination. You totally intend to do the thing eventually, but in the meantime, you're avoiding thinking about it. It is the head in the sand version of procrastination. Since it's never really taken off your mental plate, passive procrastination can be draining because you're working on it without actually working on it. The reason we passively procrastinate is we get a temporary reduction in immediate anxiety, especially when we engage in self-soothing behaviors, playing video games instead of calling the dentist. But the wall of awful just gets bigger, so we might want to avoid thinking about the task more, which makes us less likely to be able to figure out what to do and when to do it, which makes us less likely to do it, which makes us lose a tooth. Hi. Passive procrastination is often rooted in anxiety and sometimes perfectionism. We're intimidated by a task and so we avoid it, especially if we're not confident in ourselves or our ability to do the thing. Active procrastinators are defined as those individuals who prefer to work under pressure and thus make deliberate decisions to procrastinate. An active procrastinator decides to put something off until later, like wait to clean their house until their friend is already on the way, and then actually cleans their house when that friend is on their way. They feel confident putting it off because they know they'll be able to get it done. And it's a very ADHD experience. We're often not avoiding a task, we just know it will be easier to get started closer to the deadline, so we put it off until that sense of urgency kicks in and flips the switch from not now to now. For active procrastinators, the negative consequences are often outweighed by the positive. If we're more focused, it's easier to do and takes less time to complete. And then it's immediately turned in and off our mental plate, so we don't have the chance to overthink it. So many of us often start actively procrastinating as teenagers when we have enough autonomy that we can choose when to get our work done, but projects are still simple enough that they can usually get done at the last minute. The thought process is something like, I can get this done the night before and it's due in 2 months? Why would I start on it now? Interestingly, one study found that active procrastinators and passive procrastinators procrastinate to the same degree, but the outcome of that procrastination was very different. In fact, active procrastinators were more similar to non-procrastinators than to passive procrastinators, and they even had similar academic outcomes. And because active procrastination is intentional, some researchers argue it doesn't even count as procrastination. That said, the degree to which we can actively procrastinate varies as tasks become more complex. Plus, the outcome kind of depends on how good we are at predicting how long they will take. It's unrealistic to expect anyone to not procrastinate at all, especially when there are times it actually benefits us to do so. Instead, experts suggest learning to recognize when it actually is procrastination, and if so, is it active or passive? What are the benefits of procrastinating? And what is it going to cost? In other words, if you're going to procrastinate mindfully. If you'd like to learn more about procrastination, I've linked to some resources in the description below, and you can check out our productivity playlist for other tools to help us get stuff done, besides, doing them at the last minute. Thank you to my brain advocates and all my Patreon brains for all of the support you've given us through these years. Like, subscribe, and now that you've procrastinated on something by watching this video, ask yourself, was it active or passive? Bye, brains.